Do you feel lost or confused in your Wisconsin custody battle, even though you're a good parent? That's because custody isn't about who loves your children more. It's about strategy. I've seen devoted parents lose significant time because of crucial mistakes that destroyed their credibility with the judges. My name is Jeff Hughes, and I'm the lead attorney for Sterling Lawyers. We are a large, exclusively family law firm here in Wisconsin, and we see hundreds of cases and judges every single month, and that gives our clients an unfair advantage. In this video, I will reveal 3 fatal mistakes that destroy Wisconsin custody cases. Mistakes that could cost you years of time with your children. Mistake number 1, focusing on the other parent instead of focusing on your child. The single biggest mistake that parents make is focusing all of their case on attacking the other parent rather than demonstrating their own positive, fruitful, nurturing relationship with their child. So when does this matter? Once you file and get into the court system, what typically happens in most every case is you go before the judge and the judge says, "What's going on?" And you say, "Look, we can't agree on where our child lives from day to day." The court would say, "Okay, then you need to go to mediation." So you go to mediation. Sometimes you reach an agreement and sometimes you don't. If you come out of that and you don't have an agreement, that means there is a fight to be had. And so then you go back to the judge and the judge says, "What's going on?" And you say, "Well, we went to mediation, judge, and we did our best, but we were not able to reach an agreement." The judge will say, "Okay, then I'm going to appoint a guardian ad litem." That is another attorney appointed for the benefit of your child and their best interest. So if you sit down with that guardian ad litem in that first meeting, and the whole time it's a gripe session and complaining about the other party and how bad the other party is, that's not a good start for you to spend all of your energy attacking. You need to show some positive things when it comes to the time you have invested and how much you love your child and what you're doing for them and how you are promoting their best, healthiest, mature outcome. Also, when you show up, have a plan. Be prepared to show your plan, why you're following your plan and your recommendations and what you're asking for is in the best interest of your child. Everything you do with that guardian ad litem needs to be focused on promoting the best interest of your child and the things you are doing to do that. Also, let me share with you here that sometimes some counties, not all counties, but some counties order a social worker to do what's called a home study. And their job is to come in and meet everyone and investigate and make a recommendation back to the judge. Now, this is all before you get to court. So let's say now you're in court and you're in front of the judge. If you have lengthy testimony about how bad the other parent is and all of their flaws, and you mention very little about your own relationship with your child, that is a mistake. Focus your testimony around the things that you are doing to promote the best interest of your child. Now, that again is not to say that you should not bring up things and not point out evidence that the other party has done that has harmed your child. Definitely have that included. Another thing, when you're in front of the judge and your evidence shows bad behavior from the other parent, but you're not able to connect that to your child, that's not going to help you. Even if that parent has done bad things, but those things have not come back to impact your child, it's best to avoid that. You're not going to get any points with the court in all likelihood. Another thing, when you're in front of the judge, you need to have a full ability on what's going on with your child so you can answer questions and have full discussions and testimony around what is in the best interest of your child. Now, how do you actually play that out and do that? You know what? There's a law that's found in Wisconsin statute 767.41. I'm going to run through these here so you have this in your mind as you're gathering evidence, as you're putting your documentation together so you know how to present your case. Number 1 is the physical and emotional safety. 2 is stability. They want to see stability, continuity in your child's life. They don't want to see herky-jerky disruptions and back and forth. Courts are also going to look at, number 3, the quality of your relationship with your child. They're going to look at each parent's ability to provide for the child, both financially, but also emotionally. Also, the courts are going to look at the child's preferences. That's the 5th one, the child's preferences. You're saying that a 10-year-old can decide where they go. No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm not even telling you that a 17-year-old has full authority. The older the child is, the more the judge weighs what they want, the more the judge looks at that. Number 6, any history of domestic abuse or child abuse, that is heavily weighed by the courts. Number 7, do they have the mental and physical health to parent, to connect with them, to nurture them, and to help them grow into productive, healthy adults? And number 8, the child's connections to all the many things you can imagine children are connected to: schools, communities, extracurricular activities, other family members, extended family members, grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, and those sorts of things. Okay, those are all the factors that fall under best interest. Another part of this is when you're giving evidence, frame your concerns in the context of how they affect your child. Okay, so for example, don't just say, my ex stays out all night with different people. Instead, focus on, Judge, this is sad, but my child has expressed to me anxiety about meeting multiple new adults in the household of the other parent. And Judge, it's this instability that has affected their schoolwork, their relationships with their peers, and it has shown up in their progress reports. Also, when you're given evidence, document your most meaningful involvement. Not every single instance of involvement in your child's life, but your most meaningful involvement. Definitely attack on the critical, most important points. Not everything, but go after the most critical, most egregious examples of bad behavior and connecting that back to the child's best interest. Okay, that is mistake number 1. Let's move to mistake number 2. Being unwilling to adapt your parenting during the divorce. Okay? That can be a fatal mistake whenever one party refuses to adjust their parenting, whenever it's legitimately a concern or whenever there's a legitimate argument for them to do so. We are all human. We all make mistakes. Everyone in that courtroom. We don't require perfection of other people. So if you've done something or you're doing something that that can be improved upon, recognizing it, letting the courts and the guardians and the social workers all know, what? I learned from that. I'm going to make adjustments and that won't happen again. I'm always learning. I have bad moments. I'm sorry. And make those adjustments during the case. That ironically gives everyone involved a lot of confidence that you'll continue to do that into the future because it shows some humbleness, shows some willing to make adjustments that are required, that are necessary. Now, look, we all get defensive around parenting. Anytime someone tells us that our parenting can get better, they point something out. And I'm just encouraging you in pointing that out is be the bigger person in those cases. Let that defensiveness go. Listen and make the adjustments. You will win credibility with a guardian. You will win credibility with a judge when you do that. So in Wisconsin, here's what that actually looks like. A party who's unwilling to make adjustments dismisses feedback from the court or from the teachers or whoever's involved there that matters in your case. They just dismiss it. They're stubborn. They dig their heels in and they refuse to listen. Another example of that, what it looks like when you're going through Wisconsin cases, whenever there's a rigid, harsh disciplinary approach that's causing distress to a child and they maintain that and they don't listen to anyone around that and they just ignore things, and they don't lighten up a little bit and soften up a little bit when appropriate, that tends to make the judges and guardians think that they're not going to be a cooperative, communicative parent. Another one, courts require parties to go to court-recommended parenting classes or counseling. Do that. Follow through on those recommendations. Don't refuse that. It doesn't make you look good. It doesn't hold you in a good light. Wisconsin judges and guardians, they value parents who demonstrate flexibility and willingness to grow. I have seen cases where a party presents with a substance abuse issue, and you would think, oh man, they're sunk. They're totally going to get the hose from the judge here. This is not going to go well. By the time the case is over, because they recognized that they had a substance abuse issue, they sought counseling, they followed through, they stayed consistent. The courts actually give them a ton of credit and credibility on that. Now remember, if this is you, if this describes you, you're going through the case, slow it down, be patient, try your very best to see the entire case from everybody else's point of view, because that will help you craft your evidence and your testimony when you get to court. Okay, the third and final mistake, mishandling your relationship with the guardian ad litem. So in Wisconsin placement and custody disputes, the judges in almost every single case appoint another attorney called a guardian ad litem that I mentioned earlier. Their job, again, is not to advocate for what your child wants, but to advocate for the best interest of your child. Guardian ad litems have significant influence on the judge's final decision. The guardian could come to court and they can make a recommendation, they can advocate in a certain way, and the judge could say, you know what, I'm going to go in a different direction. And I've seen that many, many times. So how do you handle the guardian ad litem relationship well? For one, never miss a scheduled meeting. Make the time. You want to show responsibility. You get a limited amount of time with that guardian ad litem, and you want to put your best foot forward, like you're going for the most important job interview of your life because it impacts your kids. Be prepared for that meeting when you show up. So what does that mean? Know everything about your child's school, their teachers' names, what grades they're in, what they're anxious about, what your observations are. Understand what the other party thinks. You can be able to talk about that if you need to. If the guardian asks you something that makes you inside feel defensive, don't react. Let that settle in. Think about that before you respond. Do not be unnecessarily confrontational. The times that I've seen it go potentially well is whenever the guardian ad litem is lazy. They're late on everything. They don't respond. They don't do the things that they need to do. And there is a kind and soft confrontation on that. Okay. You can't be aggressive because you don't know how they're going to respond. You don't want them to respond angrily to you. Now, if the guardian asks for documentation, do it promptly. Get it back to that person right away. Okay, be quick. Show that you're organized and on top of your game. Do not speak negatively about the guardian to your child. That is a big no-no. That has a way of getting back to the guardian. First off, it doesn't help your child. It hurts the child, whether they express that or not. It's not a good thing. But if it gets back to the guardian, boy, that'll sink your recommendation in your favor in a big way and big time fast. So do not do that. And also, as I've already described here in this video, understand their role in the Wisconsin court divorce process. Their role as an advocate for the best interest of your child, not an advocate for what your child wants. That's the big one to remember, okay? And also, they are another attorney that's got to present evidence in their recommendation just as you would or your attorney would. Now let's kind of flip that around and talk about the positive things that you can do to improve or to have a really good relationship with the guardian ad litem. First off, the obvious one, maintain open, thorough, transparent, honest communication with that guardian ad litem. Provide organized timelines and documentations. Everything you've been documenting in your case, do it in an organized fashion that they can look at a glance and understand. Every time you express a concern, tie it back to your child's best interest, according to that standard that I referred to earlier. Follow through on the guardian's recommendations. And here's the other thing, let the guardian know that you have heard and that you are and that you did follow through on that. And be cooperative with the other parent. Show yourself as cooperative and flexible and willing to make adjustments and to share information back and forth. You know, so many cases completely turn and hinge on the guardian ad litem's recommendation. I cannot stress to you enough here to take that relationship very seriously and handle it wisely and carefully as you go through your case. You can be persistent, you can be assertive, you can do those things, but do it in the right way, gracefully and with humility, and you have a much better chance of winning the day with that guardian ad litem. Remember, that report from that guardian goes directly to the judge, and their recommendations make a big difference to that court decision. Now, these 3 mistakes that I have outlined here can totally derail even the strongest custody cases. So be mindful of them as you work your case through the system. And remember that custody cases, they are strategic. And understanding what Wisconsin courts are looking for makes all the difference. Now, if this video was helpful to you, I have another video that could really add value to you in your case, and that is, what is a guardian ad litem looking for? What does the guardian ad litem do? And that's this video right here. And since we discussed how crucial the guardian ad litem is in your case, this video will give you a deeper insight on working with one of the most important figures in your Wisconsin custody battle. See you over there.